welcome everybody to another edition of Live with the Tribe here on the ICC Sports Network. I'm Adam Gore, filling in for the first time. Lee Adams usually does these shows, has been doing a great job as well. But today we've got, not counting me, an all-star lineup. Lee Adams is still with us. We've got the myth, the man, the legend. Let's call him an icon because he actually does have an icon of himself. Mr. Tim Dillard, an ICC Hall of Famer. And then, of course, let's call him a future Hall of Famer because there's no doubt this guy's going to land there one day, Coach Rick Collier. Guys, first off, Tim, let's start with you. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, happy to be here. It's good to see you guys. Rick, I can't remember the last time I saw you.
Last time, probably when you were inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah. I knew that. I just wanted you to say it. No.
Well, this is clearly going to be a fun show today. Well, let's just talk about it. And Lee, you feel free to jump in as well whenever you get some thoughts as well. Tim, talk about your time here at ICC, something that maybe kind of jumps off to you right away. And then I know Rick has got some stories he wants to share. Lee and I have a story that we hear constantly being around Rick that we're going to talk about too. So, but Tim, go ahead and talk about your time here at ICC.
Nah, it was great. It's where I grew up. You know, I went to high school, but you're not grown. You know, you don't know anything. You're sheltered. You're a little baby. And college is where you kind of have to fend for yourself and figure things out. And I mean, that's what it was for me. ICC was the pivotal stepping stone to get me, you know, just out on my own, just raising adults. I know Rick was real big on that. I actually told, I spoke at some high schools recently. And one of the things I tell them is that when the coaches have you at 4 a.m., you know, out running the mile or, you know, rolling down hills or whatever that is, it really has nothing to do with the exercise that you're doing. What it is you're building, you know, a work ethic and accountability and just trying to grow up. Can you be on time? Can you do what you say you're going to do? And so when I think back at ICC, it's like, oh, this is how you become an adult.
Rick, what do you remember of Tim whenever you were in the recruiting process?
Always late.
No, I don't remember that, but I remember that guy playing the game. You could tell he was different. You could tell he was a man amongst boys in this league. Now, you can correct me, Tim, if I'm wrong, but I think you went 13-0 with like 6 saves. You know, nobody touched him hardly. Player of the year in the whole NJCAA. And, you know, he started off with about 5 saves with us. And what was funny, I can remember I said, Tim, I pulled him off to the side. I said, you're too good to be a closer. And he's looking at me. And I said, look, man, I'm going to have to start you one of the games once a week. And he said, okay. I said, but, you know, you want to catch, right? And he said, yes, sir, I want to catch now. I said, well, which game you want to start? Oh, the doubleheader. And most of the people, when I tell that story, they always want to start the first game pitching and catch the second game. Well, Tim wanted to catch the first game and start the second game pitching. And I was like, we'll try it now. I'm fine with trying and we'll see how it works out. But he goes 13-0 and rubbing his shoulder, I guess.
Yeah, always.
I remember that. I was like, wow. But he can elaborate on it. I'd like to know why he wanted to do it. I guess see the hitters or something. But
yeah, I mean, you know, during summer ball, you do have you play a Legion ball, you play 2 7-inning games. So there was a point there where I started dabbling in pitching, and I wanted to pitch the second game during those times because if I were to throw, you know, the first game, it's such a strain on the arm. You know, I couldn't throw anybody out the second game. so then I'm in college, like, hey, which one of these you want to throw? It's like, well, man, I want to get through the first game, you know, and then the second game I can, you know, I'll be loose. Yeah, it takes me 7 innings to get loose.
I also remember when we put him out there, our games would last about an hour and 15 minutes. And my wife, she was my fiance at that time, and she didn't know a whole lot about baseball. She'd come home and she'd go, we'd struggle one game or something. She'd go, Rick, I don't understand. Why don't you just throw Tim every game? And she didn't know baseball, so, you know, she didn't know the time in between rest and all that stuff. But anyway, that's a pretty good story with her.
I mean, maybe I could have. I don't know if I would have fared to last year. I was with the Nashville Sounds last year in AAA, the Rangers affiliate. And there was a point with the first they told me, they're like, you're not going to throw like you're going to be a backup guy to a backup to a backup. And after like 2 days, they were like, hey, man, we need you to pitch 3 innings today. Can you do it? I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then before the first month was over in April, I pitched in a game, and then they called me that night. So I pitched in like, maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And then I get a call from my pitching coach at midnight. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, about to go to bed, man. What's up? He's like, I need you to start tomorrow, and I need you to throw as much as you can. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, why not? And anyway, I faced the Iowa Cubs, and I threw 5 innings. And I think I faced the minimum because I got a double play, but I got Addison Russell out twice. I remember that. He was trying to hit the ball in the air, and I just kept throwing sinkers, man. Keep that ball on the ground. But even after that, they kind of had me in the starting rotation, but I would start a game, and then 2 days later, I'd pitch out of the bullpen. And then 2 days after that, I would start again. And to me, it was probably the most reminiscent of college. Like I was having the time of my life, when I'm 30 something years old, been doing this almost 20 years. And I'm sitting there going, I'm going further into games than these, 25-year-olds. And I don't know, just bouncing back quicker than, those guys. It shows people, when you have somebody, I had people like that I looked up to that would just get out there and play. And, hopefully some of the young guys that I'm with are like, hey, man, if this old dude with the beard can do it, why can't I do it? Sometimes you don't know what you can do until you're actually, pushed.
Well,
you remember that day down at – go ahead, Adam.
No, that's what I think you and I are both about to talk about this next point was, when Rick just needs to encourage the guys, and I've been at ICC for 10 years. Lee's been around ICC baseball longer than that. But anytime Rick needs to just dig down, find a story to kind of inspire his guys, he talks about a game with you at Snead State. And Rick, I'm going to let you tell the story the way you tell it.
We were ranked, I don't know, third, moved up to third in the nation, and we go over to Snead, and I think we catching Tim the second game, and I walk out to the mound. We're up by about 9, and I have moved guys in left and right, some of the guys that hadn't pitched much that year. And next thing you know, the score's done 9-5. I move another guy in, 9-7. Well, Tim gets tired of it. Tim walks out there and says, hey, coach, you ready to go home? And this base is loaded. They didn't have lights over there. It's about dark, and it's in the last inning. They get a big hit right here. It's going to be tied. If not, we get beat. And I said, Tim, I've been ready, man. I said, but he said, give me the ball. I said, well, this was like on a Thursday, and we got Northwest on Saturday. And I said, man, we need you against Northwest. This game really doesn't matter as much. And he goes, no, coach, we can't get beat, man. And I said, you know what? Here's the ball. Go over and throw with the third baseman. I said, we may do this. And I sat there and talked a while, and I told the guys, when the umpire starts coming out here, tell me, and we may make a change. And about that time, here comes the umpire. I said, Tim, you ready? He said, yes, sir. It won't take 9 pitches. And sure enough, we put him in. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, flips me the ball and said, let's go to the house. And he starts against Northwest on Saturday, but we didn't hurt him. It's a quick pin for him, just like he said.
And Tim, I'll tell you this. When he tells that story to the guys, and you've seen how fired up and competitive Rick can be.
Sure.
Matter of fact, I talked to him on the phone the other day. He bragged about hitting a home run with his boy. But you can imagine just how fired up Rick gets in that situation, telling that story. But tell us what was going through your head during that moment.
Well, I mean, the same thing that goes through my head at every single game. Like, if you're going to be out there, if you're going to dress up and you got the uniforms on and you know everyone's out there, you just want to win. I'm surprised that as much as I've been in the minor leagues, some people discount the minor leagues. Maybe there's guys in college that are like, well, this isn't like the best team, so let's just kind of mail this in. This isn't our rival, so let's just, pump the brakes a little bit. To me, I just want to win. Like, if we're going to do this, then let's do it the best we can, and let's just win. And yeah, I remember that day. I was just like, I'm sick of this, because I have a bird's eye view. I'm sitting there catching, and I'm just like, man, I love these guys, but we keep this up, we're going to lose, and I don't want to lose. And I think what it comes down to is, what do you care about most? If you guys have been watching the Michael Jordan thing, have you seen this on TV? It's phenomenal. And it really gives you a look at why he was so good at times. And what I really like is that he just wanted to win more than other people. Where does that come from? And I'm looking at it going, yeah, everyone should do that. How come not everyone does that? And so I think when you're trying to pump somebody up and you have to sit there and tell them, hey, you want to try to win, that person should go, why don't I want to win as much as somebody else? To me, if you're going to be competitive, then be competitive to win. I tell the same thing to my kids. It's like, but once it's over, it's like, it's over. Don't beat yourself up over it. Like, just get ready for the next game. And I think that's where a lot of people will fail in some of those areas, is like the game's over and they're like, oh man, they're hanging on to it as much as possible. But especially in professional baseball, you have a game the next day. If that's a night game, you may be playing a game in 12 hours. So once that last out's made, when baseball, or that last bucket, or whatever the sport is, once that's over, it's all about getting ready for the next one. That's all that matters. And so, to me, it's go out there and win. And then if you win, great. Same thing. You have get ready for the next game. If you lose, that's, not the end of the world, but get ready for the next game.
Hello, my name is Taylor Teeter, and I'm a recruiter for Etowah Community College. We're so disappointed that we're not able to host you on our campus, but we still want to answer all of your questions about college admissions, financial aid, scholarships, and even orientation. You can schedule a virtual appointment with us at tours.iccms.edu, select virtual meeting time, and then select the time that works best for you. Put in a good email address and we will send you a Zoom meeting link. From there, you can access Zoom from the Zoom app on your phone, or you can sit down at a desktop computer. I look forward to meeting you online soon.
Online registration for all spring and summer orientation sessions at Itawamba Community College are now open, and dates are filling up fast. ICC's free orientation is mandatory for all incoming freshmen. Students must have submitted an application for admission and a copy of their ACT score before registering. Don't forget to sign up for financial aid, scholarships, and housing before it's too late. To register or for more information, visit iccms.edu/orientation or call 662-862-8251. Itawamba Community College, the best start here.
That's home. That's just like the Ravens. That's just like Pahokee, Florida. That's my second home. I got my degree from there, my first degree, college degree. It's part of my heart, it's part of my soul, it's part of my spirit. And, it's everything. Itawamba Community College, baby, it's everything. It shaped me up to being a great man because it was part of the journey of me becoming the young man I am today. And it's home, man. That's it. Like, I can go there and lay my head down without no problems. Itawamba Community College, the best start here.
Hello, my name's Jordan Smith, and I'm one of our recruiters here at Itawamba Community College. Although we can't meet with you right now or host you on our campus, we're still available to answer any questions you may have from an admissions, financial aid, scholarships, and orientation perspective. Anything you could possibly need, we're here to help you. You can set up a virtual appointment with us at tours.iccms.edu and select the time that best fits your schedule. All you have to do is download the Zoom app to your phone or log in from a computer. When the time comes, we'll send you a Zoom meeting link to take care of everything you might need. I look forward to meeting you online soon.
Tim, I want to bring in our assistant SID, Lee Adams. I know this guy's a big baseball guy, and much like Rick, I listen to them two talk back and forth about baseball, so I know he's itching to get in this conversation. Lee, just jump on in and ask a few questions.
Well, the first thing I have to ask is because I'm a huge baseball fan, but I'm actually a huge minor league baseball fan more than anything, just because of the atmosphere, the hunger, seeing the hunger in the players trying to make it to the show. But I got to know, what is the theme night that you have been a part of personally that's been your favorite one, or maybe it's a reoccurring one. I know Star Wars night is a pretty reoccurring one throughout the minor league baseball league. But what's been your favorite theme night? And then after that, what's been your favorite game memory that you've had, whether it be with the Sounds or the Stars or whoever?
Wow, that's how much time we got? No,
all the time.
All you need.
No. I mean, I like all the theme nights. To me, it's I don't know. I got T-shirts from all over the minor leagues. Every time there's a giveaway, the clubbies know me. I've been playing in AAA now for like 13 years. I don't know if I can count this year. This year is just a wash, man. Oh.
Yeah.
But I have T-shirts and I have grill spatulas and aprons and like pot holders. It's so interesting when they give away stuff. Of course, bobbleheads. I got bobbleheads all over the place. I see my bobblehead back there behind you, Rick. But that's what's fun. I mean, I got hats. I got a hat back there from the Sounds. It's like a beanie hat. To me, that's what the minor leagues is, having fun and getting a little something to remember. And I love Star Wars nights. I got to meet Darth Vader like 10 times. But along the same lines, one Star Wars night, we were in Memphis, and I was in the bullpen, and I think I was actually good that year. I think it might have been 2008-ish, somewhere in there. And there was some stormtroopers by the bullpen. In the bullpen in Memphis, playing the Redbirds, it's real easy access. There's a walkway right there. And I just yelled at one of them. I was like, hey, let me try that helmet on. And I mean, this person just was like, and like threw it over the fence. And I was like, oh, I caught it. And so they're like, hey, you want us to take your picture? Because obviously we don't have phones in the bullpen during the game. So I have a picture of myself in full uni with this stormtrooper helmet on, on the mound, look like I'm looking in for a sign. And the game's behind me. You can like see the game going on behind me. But what's interesting, I'm talking to these stormtroopers, and they call down. They're like, get Dillard going, and I'm like, oh, I got to take this mask off. That's not my proudest moment, but definitely memorable.
Now, your love of the game really shows, outside of baseball. You've got your podcast now. Which I'm a big fan of from day one. You and I have already talked about that. But your previous podcast, the Show and Go podcast, talk about that, the collection of guys you have from there, because I'm telling you, like that, those were some quality listens, because not only about baseball, but just about kind of going back to that winner's mentality, how to handle yourself in life, how to face adversity. There's a lot of things that you could take away from baseball, life, and business all wrapped in one. Yeah,
that podcast was awesome. Had three of my buddies, Ben Zobrist, who's, I guess, retired. I don't know if that counts if the season hasn't started. So, and then Josh Costello, he's a strength guy, been, training big leaguers for like 10 years. Then Brian Smaltz is at Trevecca University here in Nashville. And so what we brought was a dynamic of, a pitcher, position player. We have a strength guy, and coach. So we have all these different angles. And one thing that did was, if we would have done this podcast when we were 20, then it would have been from that perspective. But now we're all in our 30s, and we can kind of look back a little bit. It's more of this is what I did, this is what I should have done. And that kind of goes a long way. But it's hard to put that thing. I mean, we took a lot of time putting it together, but it just kind of fizzled out because we are older. We have kids, we have lives, and that's not our primary focus is getting in the podcast booth. But it was good while it lasted. I'm not going to say it's over, but it's been a while since we dropped an episode. But that's why I started my podcast. I was like, I don't have any wisdom to share, but we're all trying to kill some time.
Well, let's stay on that. I was going to go back and talk about when you got drafted. I know Lee's got some questions on that as well. But let's stay on the podcast right now and kind of social media. Man, you've hit a home run with that. Like you've branded yourself, kind of reinvented yourself through this. Not to brag on you or anything. Of course, actually I am. But just talk about your mindset when it comes to being creative on social media, coming up with your ideas for your podcast. Obviously, don't give away any secrets. But, what is your creative state of mind when you do this type stuff?
I don't know. There's what's in my mind, not much. I didn't get Twitter until 2013. I was in independent ball. Well, I was actually trying to make an independent ball team. I was staying with a host family in their basement. And my wife was like, this may be it. You may be done with baseball. You need to look forward, to what could be next. And she thought Twitter and Facebook was like a good way to meet people and to kind of, if that's where society's going, is to this kind of stuff, and, somehow have a reference to it. And I didn't like it very much. The only thing I had with Twitter, the only experience is I was in a clubhouse with John Axford when he was on my right, pitcher for the Brewers, and Niger Morgan. If you remember Niger Morgan, he was our hero in 2011. So I got these two guys, and they're both on Twitter all the time. And one guy, I didn't like the way they used it. I was like, why would you be on Twitter if all it is like people yelling at each other? And so anyway, the first thing I thought of is like, if I'm going to do Twitter, I'm going to make it, family friendly for one. I don't want to put anything on there that my kids can't see. And then just make it positive. I've compared it to the Ring and Lord of the Rings. Twitter's evil, man. You try to wield it for good, but you do the best you can. But that's kind of all I try to do. I just want to bring fun and joy, and just know that even it doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be a baseball player, but you still have a creative side or a personality, and just know that not everything is baseball. That's kind of what you do, not who you are. So that's on my social media platforms. I'm just trying to expose a little bit of what's going on in the old brain, which is not much.
And of course,
I got a question I want to ask you, Adam.
Go ahead, Rick. I was going to tell you to chime in.
ICC days. Back to ICC. You remember you squared off here at Etowamba against Pearl River in the regional tournament we hosted, before we played St. Louis Forest Park in the Super Region.
Yeah.
And you have gone, you're on your 10th inning, and we kept pitch count. I think you were at 118 pitches, and I called you off to the side, and right after that inning, I said, "Hey, Tim, man, I know you're gonna play baseball a long time. I know, and you're still playing, man. It's a long time." And I said, "You're done." And it was like 1-1. He's held an offensive club down to 1 run. They were really good. We were really good. And he said, "Do what, Coach?" He's never even questioned or asked me anything the whole year. Here we are in the championship. And I said, "You're done." I said, "I'm not going to send you out there for 11th inning." And he said, "No, Coach, I feel good, man. You hadn't worn me out." He said, "I can go." And I said, "Tim, I'm not going to be that guy that tears your arm up. And I'll be darned if I don't go out to third base box." And about that time, his dad's on the fence over there. And his dad now, he's played professional ball. He's been with the Cubs and a lot of other clubs. And he yells at me, "Coach," he said, now you think Tim's done?" I said, "No, sir. I'd love to send him back out there, but I'm not going to be that guy." He said, "Look, man, he's a big guy. He's a horse. He's thrown a heck of a lot more pitches than that in games." He said, "Now, if you feel he needs to go back out there, you let him go back out there. I got my blessing. That's all I want you to know." And I was like, "So you're okay with it?" And that's all I had to hear. And I went, "So what'd you do after me and you talked in the dugout? Did you go talk to your dad, or what'd you do?" You remember that?
Yeah. I had to pull out the big guns.
That was awesome, though. He went out there and wore them out, man. Well, I don't know. We went 12, didn't we, or something?
I can't remember. I'm still in that game. You kidding? Throwing a gazillion pitches. No, I had thrown. See, so when you're too old to play Legion ball in Mississippi, the only thing that was there is semi-pro, which is like basically a Negro league. And so me and my brothers were the only guys that played in this black league for like ever. And so here I am at, 16, 17 years old, and I'm playing against guys that are, 30 years old. And it's the most competitive baseball I've ever been around. It was so awesome. It's baseball at its purest level. And every time I pitched, I threw until the game was over. Like, they never took me out. I don't care if I was getting destroyed in the, first inning, give up 6 runs, which I'm not sure that happened, but it was all about just, me against the other pitcher. It's like, who's going to win? And that's where I had built up that, I don't know, I guess that stockpiling pitches in my arm, like I had taught myself how to, be able to go that deep into games by doing that. Cause even when you're in high school, you may throw 7 pitch innings, and you may throw 7 innings to a complete game and throw, 65 pitches. But when you start playing against grown men that know how to take pitches, foul pitches off, I mean, you're building up just a huge arsenal of pitches. And so that's what I've been doing for a couple of years. And maybe you didn't know that. So that's why I was like, Dad, man, he thinks it's a pitch count issue. Like, I didn't even think about that, And, my dad is awesome. He's been around baseball forever. And, he's had teammates, and I think he's been on teammates with maybe 10 Hall of Famers now. So just to kind of give his clout. And he's never said, that may be the only time he's ever said anything to a coach. I know it's the only thing he's ever said to a coach during a game, for sure. But even all through high school, my dad would just sit there and watch the games. He wouldn't ever get involved and be on the fence. That should be an encouragement to all the dads that are on the fence, when their kid's 7 playing Little League, like, chillax, like.
But your last pitch, I think, your last pitch of that game was like 94, 93. It was unreal. I can remember the scout telling me that, and the thing about it was, I also remember about you, we didn't know whether you were going to go as a pitcher or a catcher.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I know. And, but you was a heck of a catcher too now. Lord, I remember you reaching across your body one time and caught a ball and just reached back and threw from your knees and threw a guy out before he could go in sliding, got him standing up. But
got that one from Pudge. That's what Pudge did. He'd catch it over here, he'd just throw under his arm, get somebody out.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Taylor Teeter, and I'm a recruiter for Etowah Community College. We're so disappointed that we're not able to host you on our campus, but we still want to answer all of your questions about college admissions, financial aid, scholarships, and even orientation. You can schedule a virtual appointment with us at tours.iccms.edu, select virtual meeting time, and then select the time that works best for you. Put in a good email address and we will send you a Zoom meeting link. From there, you can access Zoom from the Zoom app on your phone, or you can sit down at a desktop computer. I look forward to meeting you online soon.
Zelle is the new way to move money, and it's already included inside your Renaissance Bank mobile app. No additional downloads, no additional signups. Whether you're paying a friend back for pizza or chipping in for gas, Zelle lets you send money quickly to almost anyone in your contacts. Here's how it works. Open the Renaissance app, log in, and tap the blue button with the white plus sign on it, and select Zelle. Choose Send, Request, or Split. Pick who you want to exchange money with, either from your contacts or by entering a phone number or email. Choose the account you want to pay with and select an amount. Review and confirm. To stay organized, you can even include a short description of what each payment is for. That's it. Your money is on the move. Most payments take place in just minutes. No need to download another app. It all happens inside here. Balance the bill, split the check, and pay your way with Zelle. To learn more about Zelle, visit RenaissanceBank.com or download the Renaissance Bank mobile app to start using Zelle today. Renaissance Bank. Understanding you. Member FDIC.
My burger goes best with mustard.
Ketchup and mustard.
Grass-fed beef.
No, corn-fed.
On the grill.
Nah, flat top.
Iceberg lettuce.
Nah, arugula. Jalapeno.
No way. Avocado, dude.
Medium rare. Gotta be well done. Brioche.
Sesame seeds.
American cheese.
Cheddar. Can I have a turkey burger? What? Turkeys are for Thanksgiving, man. I like my burger with the Coke.
I'll agree to that. Strictly with the Coke.
Only with the Coke.
Coke and a burger. Come on.
All right.
That's where you get the flavor.
Hello, my name's Jordan Smith, and I'm one of our recruiters here at Etowah Community College. Although we can't meet with you right now or host you on our campus, we're still available to answer any questions you may have from an admissions, financial aid, scholarships, and orientation perspective. Anything you could possibly need, we're here to help you. You can set up a virtual appointment with us at tours.iccms.edu and select the time that best fits your schedule. All you have to do is download the Zoom app to your phone or log in from a computer. When the time comes, we'll send you a Zoom meeting link to take care of everything you might need. I look forward to meeting you online soon.
Hey, I talk about also now, we used to watch you. You did strike out a couple times, not many, but if you did strike out, it was unreal watching you put that gear back on. And sometimes you would have your gear back on and back out at the catcher's position before the center fielder. And we were always hustling on the field. Remember, we put a clock on the position, guys. And, I tell my guys those stories all the time. Said a guy's still playing pro baseball, and this is what he did, always hustling on the field. That was some good stuff.
Well, that comes from when I was a kid. I told my dad when I was maybe 5, I was like, Dad, I want to be a catcher. He says, well, you got to know 2 things. And I said, well, what's that? He said, you got to know how to throw a knuckleball and restring gloves. Not really sure why that's relevant, but pretty much every catcher I've come in contact since knows how to restring a glove and throw a knuckleball. So he was right. But one of the things was he wanted me to be well-rounded. If you're going to be a catcher, what does that entail? You have to be able to throw to bases. You got to be able to block. And so he's just telling me, he wouldn't always show me. He didn't always know exactly how to do different things. I picked up stuff along the way, whether it was at spring training or, in high school, like we'd watch instructional videos, but you have to reach as much, input as you can. You got to find it and see what works for you. And that was one of the things that he used to do, was time me to get my catching gear on. So like, I don't know why we made a game out of it. So I remember sitting around the living room, my dad be like, go, I didn't even know if he had a stopwatch. I just doing this with his thumb. I don't know. And I would just put my gear on. I was a little guy and I wanted to be a ninja wearing catching gear. I don't know if that exists, but it should. And that's what I tried to do. I tried to put my gear on as quickly as possible. I didn't know it was going to carry on, for years after that. But what I think my dad always tried to do was prepare me for the next step. So when I was in probably 8th or 9th grade, and you start playing on the regular size field. Well, I didn't have an arm. Like I had an arm, it existed, but it wasn't very good. And I would catch and I would throw, and it'd be like, 2 to 3 hop all the way down to second base. And I'm just like, I'm never going to throw anybody out. My dad was like, well, then you got to be quicker. That guy's running, if you can't get a strong throw because your arm's not strong yet, then you need to get rid of it quicker. So there'd be times, guy would take off and I'd be like, and I learned how to get quick. And then, when I was probably, maybe 16, all of a sudden, wow, I actually have an arm. I grew and I could actually throw the ball all the way in the air. So now what skills did I have? I'm a ninja behind the plate. I can block and I can get rid of the ball quick. And now I'm hosing people at second and I'm actually accurate, so even though you don't have that skill right now, doesn't mean you won't have it later. So you got to start laying the groundwork now to get to that point. That's where your foundation is. And so that really actually carried over into pitching. And so I still do stuff like that with pitching, not really throw people out, but just your well-roundedness of your craft. Can you pick the first? Can you field your position? How to battle, adversity when you're on the mound, backing up bases, all the stuff. You may be a pitcher, but you're doing other things as well.
Now, Tim, we've talked about Rick, some of his favorite memories with you. Do you have any memories of Rick? Any funny stories of Rick? Now, this Rick may be wanting to try to run off to check on that now, but I'm going to turn it over to you for a minute to let you tell some Rick stories.
I enjoyed watching Rick hit because I don't know if I'd ever had a coach that could actually play. I feel like every coach I ever had was like, this guy played baseball, at what level did this guy play baseball? But Rick could hit. And there's nothing, even now, when I just see a coach get up there, grab a bat, start taking some batting practice, it's like, you can believe this person. And that's what I bought into. He was like, we're going to hit. Because the biggest problem I thought with high school and probably most of the colleges I've seen, even to this day, is that for some reason, bunt plays are way more important than hitting. Like, I don't know where that came. I don't know why that is, but you practice like you do like big leaguers. Big leaguers have been doing it right for, 150 years or whatever. Like there's a reason that formula works. And so Rick's like, we're going to hit. And he's getting up there and he's showing it. And I just remember thinking, this is genius. Like everyone should be doing this, but not everyone does do that. So having a coach that could actually do what he's trying to get us to do is a very special thing. And it's still to this day, very rare. Oh, but I got a good story. I got one. All right. All right. So we're going over pop-up priority, right? And if I don't know, you were teaching first aid and CPR at the time, right?
Right.
I don't know if you're still teaching that or not, but yeah, first aid and CPR. And anyway, we're going over pop-up priority. And as a catcher, when the ball goes up, you take your mask off, and when the ball's coming down, you throw it, because you don't want to throw it early because you might trip on it if the ball takes you in the path of where you just threw your mask. So there's like a whole technique. So, I throw the mask and I'm about to catch it, and our third baseman, who will remain anonymous, because if I see Brandon Witcher, I'll be like, what are you doing, man? I'm just kidding. But he runs all the way from third, and I'm like 2 feet from home plate. But he ran all the way from third, trying to impress you, Rick, I'm pretty sure. And he just basically stuck his elbow right in my face and just blew me up. And anyway, I hit the ground, and I could immediately tell that there was a giant tooth on my tongue. So I knew my tooth had got knocked out. But what I didn't know is that I had like a huge cut on my lip, and I was bleeding. So immediately I knew I'm leaving practice. I got to go somewhere. So I just start taking off like my wristbands, taking my gear off. And I look over and I'm like, hey, coach, we got to go somewhere. I got to go to the hospital. And he's just looking at me like, and I was like, hey, your truck was down there I was like, we got to go get in your truck. I was like, you got to take me to the dentist, man. I got a tooth on my tongue. And I remember thinking, I mean, you just standing there looking at me. And I remember thinking, this guy teaches first aid and CPR. And the first rule is don't panic. Anyway, I was fine. I have a tooth.
We got you. We took you up to Dr. Digby.
I got some stitches, but I just remember. Yeah, we went to Dr. Digby's office, and you were I remember you were holding that fungo, and you're looking at me, and I didn't know my lip was cut. So I mean, it was pretty bad. Like I mean, it was bleeding pretty bad. I didn't know that, and you were just staring at me, and I was just like, "What's the big deal?" There's blood everywhere. Fond memories. Oh, that's funny.
Well, Lee, I'm going to let you jump back in. Let's talk about being drafted, the uniqueness of going from a catcher to a pitcher to, figuring out what you were going to be drafted as. So, Lee, kind of jump in on this and ask away.
Yeah, Adam touched on it mainly there. Just, come to ICC, being a catcher and a pitcher, and you've already mentioned, being well-rounded at your position to help. It helped you become a better pitcher as well. Talk about that transition, even though you were doing both at ICC, how it was to just become a PO only. Like, how did that transition work for you, and what adjustments did you make?
Yeah, I didn't even know that PO was a thing, pitcher only. Like, I didn't know that was a position. I had to learn that. I don't know. It was. I went from being a part of every single pitch and every single play in some capacity to suddenly I'm in pro ball and I'm one of like 9 guys in the bullpen who's just sitting around watching the game. So I would say probably the hardest part was just not playing. I'm just used to playing everything. And all of a sudden I'm just sitting there. And I that was dealing with that was probably the hardest transition, I would say. But I tell you what it did is it kind of me. What? Oh,
no. Hey,
you're directing traffic.
Quick, so sorry about that.
What it actually was born out of that, when you're just sitting there not playing, what's born out of that is when you're on the field playing, to play the best you can and to not want to come out. So, I mean, I've always kind of had that mentality, but even in pro ball, I'm sitting there going, leave me in, leave me in, coach. Like, so what you find out in professional baseball is there's some guys that just, maybe they don't take it as serious, or maybe they just don't want to play. They may wake up and be like, my arm's a little sore. Maybe I need a day, coach. I need a day. And to me, my mentality has always been, I'm not going to ask for a day off, because eventually I'll have all the day offs I want when I'm done playing. So for me, I show up every day going, I may have to start this game and I may have to throw 9 or 10 innings. Like, that's just, and so when I show up to the field and they're like, hey, can you start today? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you okay? And I'm like, I just assumed I was going to start. They're like, you were on the inactive list. You weren't even able to, I'm like, but that's how I mean, that's just kind of how you be. It bothered me not to play. And so what was born out of that was, I don't want to get off the field. If I'm on the field, like, I know you don't want to be on the mound, you want to get off the mound, but you want to be a part of the game. And when you're in it, you just got to do the best you can and know that that could be the last time you're on the field. And if you take each situation like that, I mean, you'll be surprised what you can do out there. I surprised myself.
Now you talked a little bit about what, your dad's taught you a lot about baseball. Of course, Coach Collier helped you a lot as well, taught you stuff. Being in the minors and even at ICC, having all the different teammates you've had from all the different backgrounds and how they view baseball and how they came into it, what's some of the biggest life lessons and baseball lessons you've learned from your teammates, either at ICC or in professional baseball?
Sure. Man, I think people get bogged down on competition, or they get bogged down on, I'm not playing the position I want to play, or the coach doesn't like me, or something. There's always an excuse of something. And I think the biggest thing about baseball is just playing. For instance, I have my son's 11 now, and I remember he was 8 or 9, and he had just jumped up a level in Little League and was striking out every time. The kids were throwing, and he was, the umpire would ring him up. He'd be all mad, or he'd swing and miss. And I was just like, dude, I don't care if you strike out. I don't want you to stand there and walk. I want you to actually swing the bat if it's close. But you just got 3 at bats better. Like, I know that sounds kind of dumb, but you're 3 at bats better than you were before the game started. And to know that you're a better player because of it, you've seen more pitches. You look at guys in the big leagues, what's going on now, they don't want pitchers to see the 3rd time through the order. Well, why is that? Because they've seen your pitches. They're getting better. And so that's, to me, if you want to succeed in baseball, you got to play it. You got to play it as much as you can, and you got to try to master every position. I mean, when I got drafted by the Brewers the first time out of high school, I was playing Legion ball, and our scouting director, Jack Zarenzik, he went on to be the GM for the Mariners for a while. And he came to Tupelo, Mississippi to watch me in a tournament. And they just drafted a right-handed hitting catcher. And when they got there, I was playing shortstop and batting left-handed because I'd hurt my left shoulder. And he loves telling the story. He's like, dude, I come to see this right-handed hitting catcher, and I got a left-handed catcher, or hitting catcher playing shortstop. And actually hit a home run that game. But, I mean, you don't know where you're going to play. You don't know what you have to do. But when you're out there, you're getting better. So when people get bogged down, if they're in high school or college and they're like, well, I need better competition or I need to go somewhere. The reason I went to ICC, I was getting recruited by Ole Miss, and they were like, come to Ole Miss. We'll let you sit out a year. You'll redshirt and kind of learn our system. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to show up, go only to school, and then not play. Like, I'm not, what are you talking about? And then, I visit ICC and they're like, hey, you're going to come here and play. And I'm like, thank you. That's that's what I want to do is I want to play. And I think people I need to play in this travel league, or I need to do this or do this. And the argument's different for every age group, but all that matters is playing, getting out there and playing. You're getting better.
Okay, well, let's take it back to ICC real quick. Talk about that run to the Junior College World Series. Talk about that season, how special it was for both of you, for you, Tim, and Coach Collier. Just go through that and share some memories from that historic season.
Well, I think the coolest thing about it was Rick's first year as head coach. I thought that was awesome. Took over and was very transparent and open about what was going on. He didn't try to act like I know everything and there's a secret playbook, that you guys don't know about. It was fundamentals, and he proved it. Fundamentals win baseball games. And so that's what we did. We got better at ground balls. We got better at pitching. We threw bullpens. And to me, a lot can get lost and stuff like that. But when I think back to ICC, I'm like, he set the tone early on. Hey guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, we'll get better, and we'll get better at every position. Like, that was huge. And it seems revolutionary nowadays, the longer I've been around. I don't know why but that was so simple. It was easy. And we didn't feel like he had any other agenda. It was, we want to win. And it trickled down. It trickled to everybody. I remember there were guys on the bench who were like, well, I don't know if I'm going to play or not. And then boom, they're out there in a game in a very pivotal moment. And I think that's what you want as a team. I don't know if you remember this, Rick, or not, but I feel like you really got as many guys out there on the field playing as possible. It wasn't like, I've seen the Little League games, you put your best 9 out there and then that's all they do is play. I feel like everybody played and had their moment. And that paid off later in the season. Because when guys were, remember all our pitchers ended up getting hurt or, needing a day or a couple of weeks off. And there were other guys that came in and stepped in. And you're not going to get that if they weren't doing anything all year. So to be able to get guys working and get guys out there playing, that helped us big time at the end, I thought.
Yeah, we're talking about that story at Snead State. That's what we were doing. That was our objective, is to put everybody – next time you put them out there, that didn't happen. They got – that was early in the year and preseason polls and all that. But, looking back, we had a special team, all you guys got along. Y'all were family. The starting rotation was really, really good. Our offense was good. And, we can't go through all the names of them. I'd love to give them all a shout out. But, Lord, that was a special group, man. I go to the World Series the first year, been here a long time now, won several state titles, but just ain't got back in the World Series. We had another team come in. Jeff Willis does a good job down at Eunice, and he's beat us in the finals like 3 times, and to get back to the World Series. But y'all were a special group, man. Y'all were fun, and y'all be in my memory bank until the last day, So, but yeah, y'all were a special group.
Yeah, I think what gets lost sometimes is that a coach can feel like standoffish, like, all right, you guys go out there and impress me, see what you can do, see why I brought you here. And I never got that from you. I feel like you were like, all right, we're in this together. Like, whatever it takes, we're going to do it. It's about winning, and you would take feedback. You would sit there and ask. I mean, we had Reed Hawkins. I mean, like, y'all are about the same age at that time. I don't even know. He's like 25. I'm like, how are you in junior college, man? That's crazy. But it was a collaborative effort, because if you want to be the leader, you can either be selfish, and that's gonna disrupt everything. But when you're selfless, that brings people together. And it wasn't. I mean, you look at nowadays, it's tough to get a whole bunch of people together and play as a team, from different backgrounds and different places, and you were able to do it. And I think the reason was, hey, everybody, we're in this together. It's all about us, and this is a family.
That's my philosophy to this day. I still got that letter you wrote me. That's a nice letter. Keep doing the same things that you always done. I don't know if you remember giving that to me or not, but you sent me a letter.
I misspelled some words.
Now?
I'm not a grammarsman. Yeah.
But that was a cool letter, and it's not about the coach. It's about the coach gets you out there and work, and you do all the stuff. And I've never hit a baseball for Etowamba since I've been coaching. I've never caught one, never pitched one, and I let you guys get after it. Now I'm glad you didn't talk about some of those long practices. You remember how long we used to hit? Oh Lord, I told you guys we're gonna hit now.
I'd never complain about hitting. It's like, hey, we're gonna hit for an hour. I'm like, well, let's hit for 2 hours. Let's do
We'd work oppo, we'd do all that good stuff, and the ones that bought in and did it the right way, that's the ones that put up some big numbers, and but yeah, it was I still do the same stuff. If you came back now, you'd say, well, I'm back with Collier again, so I do my same stuff, and it works. It's good stuff. So
yeah.
But you got to have people like you. At the higher level you go, you got to have players to win championships. And you were a great player with a great attitude. Did everything that a coach asked of,
No, I appreciate that.
Oh boy, but it's true. It's true. But that was a good group. A lot of y'all did. So, man, yeah, that was special times. And the thing about it is, when I see you, coaching, we don't get older. I just remember you as that big old hoss out there that can, get after it. And it just brings back memories every time, we're around all you guys. So that's some good stuff.
Hello, my name is Taylor Tudor, and I'm a recruiter for Etowamba Community College. We're so disappointed that we're not able to host you on our campus, but we still want to answer all of your questions about college admissions, financial aid, scholarships, and even orientation. You can schedule a virtual appointment with us at tours.iccms.edu, select virtual meeting time, and then select the time that works best for you. Put in a good email address, and we will send you a Zoom meeting link. From there, you can access Zoom from the Zoom app on your phone, or you can sit down at a desktop computer. I look forward to meeting you online soon.
You live life on your own terms. You won't be told what you can't do, and we're here to back you. From the boardroom to the big stage, Renaissance Bank supports women striving for success. Because greatness isn't held to anyone's expectations, except yours. So if anyone says you can't, prove them wrong. Rise with Renaissance, supporting women in the communities they influence every day.
Everyone has a unique story to tell. Maybe your story has you performing your new song in front of a crowd, getting to play your favorite sport, or enjoying a horseback ride in the country. At Orthopedic Institute of North Mississippi, our group of skilled surgeons understand your need to continue your story. That is why we are the preferred choice for orthopedic care. Thank you for choosing us. Our story is you. Orthopedic Institute of North Mississippi.
Online registration for all spring and summer orientation sessions at Itawamba Community College are now open and dates are filling up fast. ICC's free orientation is mandatory for all incoming freshmen. Students must have submitted an application for admission and a copy of their ACT score before registering. Don't forget to sign up for financial aid, scholarships, and housing before it's too late. To register or for more information, visit iccms.edu/orientation or call 662-862-8251. Itawamba Community College, the best start here. Well, Tim, let's talk about your Hall of Fame induction, kind of a tribute to everything you did here at ICC, all the great things you accomplished, also went on to accomplish after ICC. Just talk about that moment whenever you got the call and found out that you were going to be part of the ICC Athletic Hall of Fame.
Yeah, the first thing I said was, this doesn't have to do with academics, does it? Can't be, if that's the case. No, I mean, I'm sure I did pretty good. I don't know what my grades were. But yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm not even, I'm in no other Hall of Fames anywhere. I'm not, retired jersey. Like, that's it. Like, if people didn't have the internet, they would never know where you were. And I have a picture on the wall there. So proof that I was there. But it was really cool. They were like, yeah, you get to wear a suit and give a speech. And I was like, oh no, what do I say? I get nervous. Don't let this fool you. I'm actually really nervous when I speak. I'm in my office right now, so it doesn't matter, and you can edit this, right?
Yeah.
But when you're giving a speech in front of people, it's like, oh, what do you say? And what's really cool about it is my grandmother went to ICC. I think she went to IJC. She was in the very first class. And so I'm giving this speech, I don't even know what I was saying. I was saying blah, 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 blah. And I actually, on the wall behind me in the room where, they were doing the ceremony, was the picture of the first class. And she was on the wall behind me while I was talking.
That's awesome.
So I turned around. I was like, that's my grandmother, and anyway, it was just, my brothers went to ICC. It meant a lot. And and I told both of them, I was like, hey, did y'all get a call about this Sports Hall of Fame thing? You didn't get that? You didn't get that call? One day they'll talk to me again.
Well, Tim, let's look over your career now. We can spend forever talking about your career. My first question is, what do you credit your longevity to throughout your career of baseball?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I don't have to go and hit anymore. I'm just a pitcher. People think, baseball player, to me, you have to almost split them in half. You have to go pitchers and you have to go position players, because what position players do to go out there and play every day is unbelievable. Like, to see it firsthand all these years, I just, if I ever thought that I could play a position for, every day for 9 innings, no shot I could do that. But you want me to pitch to 2 outs in the ninth every 5 days? I could probably do that. So I think it has to do with workload. But yeah, I've never had an arm problem this would have been season 18 this year. But it's taking care of yourself. I brought up the Jordan thing earlier, and one of the episodes they were talking about, maybe part of his success was he cared about the next game. And so that has to do with preparing for the next game. Well, what's that look like? That looks like rest. It doesn't mean going out and partying and things like that. It's about doing whatever you have to do to get ready, that if you had to throw the first pitch the next day, could you do it? And I think a lot of people get into the baseball life and that's really not their focus. Their focus is different things, or maybe it's video games till 3 a.m. or whatever it is, especially now with Netflix, man. You could binge a whole show after a game and wake up and not know what city you're in or whatever. But it's a one thing that I think that gets overlooked a lot. I think maybe people don't even know about it when it comes to professional baseball, is there's a lot of people that quit every year. Like, it's a really hard life. I mean, it's fun, it's interesting, it's, you get to travel and all that, but it's hard. And oftentimes people are like, oh man, I'd trade my career for your career. People in the stands would be like, oh, I bet you love what you're doing. It's like, I do love what I'm doing, but it's not for everyone. There's a reason that not everyone does it. It's because it's just hard. There's people that get in and they're like, I can't do this, and they leave. Because it takes a collaborative effort, because if you're around it long enough, eventually you get married and you have kids, and I couldn't be doing it. So secret to my longevity, my wife lets me play. That's a short answer. And my kids are supporting me in that way. I never thought that, my kids could watch me pitch. They watched me pitch almost every game at home last year. It's a pretty rare thing. I mean, I have no memory of my dad playing. I remember him coaching, but for them to actually see their dad play and, talk to me about the game the next day, it's really cool. I mean, if anything else, that's all the motivation you could ever need.
Yeah.
And that's got to be very special, being there in Nashville, having your family there with you. Just talk about that. I mean, that you talk about how that plays into it, but as a dad, how does that feel looking up there and seeing, your kids looking back at you, like, hey, that's my dad, or your wife up there. Just talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no one at the games, if it's, a crowd that only 400 or 500 people, then you can really see them and hear them. And I've been a part of those games. But then there's, bigger crowds and stuff. I don't know. It's really neat. It's really neat. I don't remember ever in amateur ball, like high school or college, ever looking in the stands and being like, I wonder if my dad's up there or my brothers. Like, I don't remember any of that I can think of where I was, like I was playing for them or trying to impress them or anything I don't think I was never raised in that environment where it's, hey, let's see what you can do for me out there. And so when I have this freedom when I'm on the mound because I've failed, I've succeeded, I've done everything in between 100 times. And so I'm on the mound and I can hear my kids yelling for me. I'm just like, yeah, this is pretty sweet. I can sit there and actually enjoy it in the moment because I don't know, just old and grizzly. I can just do that. If I was 20, and my wife's like, hey, come on, I'd be like, no, don't yell at me, but I'm over it. I think there's a certain level of just being comfortable. And when I'm on the mound, the game doesn't really speed up anymore. I've talked to young guys for years about this. When you're on the mound and things aren't going well, what do? The game speeds up and next thing you know, you're throwing 100, miles an hour. Like you're just getting the ball and then you're throwing and you feel like you're just, sporadic out there. It's like, how do you slow the game down? And you can enjoy it, but at the same time, you're in it. You know what's going on. You know who the next hitter is. The guy on, second can run, so he may take third. So make sure third baseman's close. I mean, you're in the moment in so many ways, and you just calculate everything like that. And that's part of it. Having family in the stands, it's really cool. They picked my warm-up song, so the song will be playing, and they'll throw it down to second, and I'll be getting the ball from the third baseman, and I can hear them singing it up there. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Lee, Rick, any baseball questions in general you guys got?
No, I've enjoyed this now. I've enjoyed getting back with Tim, talking about a lot of stuff. That's good stuff.
I will say one of my favorite things that you do on your social media, Tim, is when another major league player signs a contract, you always share a story about how they got a hit off of you or you struck them out. So I will say that I do enjoy that. And Adam mentioned earlier a little bit about we have two former players who are now in minor leagues, Delvin Zinn with the Cubs and Tyreek Reed with the Rangers. What's some advice you could give, not just to those two guys, but the guys who are at ICC now as they move forward in baseball or just in life?
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty special time. I mean, not special good, really, just because, with everything going on and baseball on hold for everyone, no one gets out of this clean. We're all getting affected by this. And we probably need baseball more than ever for the distraction. But when it comes to what you do in life, I feel like everyone always has expectations. I don't know. I don't want to put expectations on other people. I don't think people want expectations on themselves, right? Like you don't want to put I don't want to do that to my kids. Well, you should be more like this. It's like, why would I tell them that? I want them to be them. I don't want them to be somebody else. And so but we do that to ourselves. I mean, my goal in baseball, my expectation, I want to play 10 years in the show, right? Like if you ask any baseball player, hey, what are you looking to do? I want to play 10 years in the big leagues because 10 years is like, I don't know, you can get full pension, you probably make a lot of money. People know who you are if you play 10 years in the show. And that was my expectation. So years ago when I started doing the math and I was like, wow, I need 9 more years. I'm going to be 52 by the time, I get 10 years in the show. So am I a failure? Like, is that where my failure and success lies on whether I make it to the big leagues or whatever that is? But no, it's an expectation. I had to overcome the expectation I put on myself. I mean, I've I feel like I've been somewhat successful in my career, but to me, it's irrelevant. It's like I've enjoyed my career. There's a lot of people that are really successful and they haven't enjoyed a minute of it. They hate it, in fact. But I've enjoyed, even when the bus breaks down, the flight's canceled, giving up 16 runs in an inning, which I think I've done a couple times. Like you got to find a way to know that your happiness and your joy is not contingent on your circumstances. Baseball is just, to me, it's a microcosm of what life is. You talk about people from different backgrounds, different languages, different countries. They all come together in one, little spot, and you do life together. And I mean, it's instant struggles, it's instant successes on the field. So basically, it's one season in baseball is like living like a full year of real life. Like that's really what it is. You're getting all these emotions and everything all into one package, and it's just there for 6 months. So I would say you don't know what's going to happen. The things you can control is your effort and attitude. They always do that, but you can't control other people, and you can't control what happens. As a pitcher, you have very little control. If the ball's not hit to me, I can't really do much. You just have to rely on everything going on, and you got to be okay with that. So to me, that all comes from expectations. Well, you know what? You can't predict the future. So why even try to come up with an expectation just so that you have to overcome it later? And so I do that, like I said, with my kids. And I mean, it goes with every relationship. I don't want people to put an expectation on me. There was a guy a couple of years ago, we were in Omaha, and he was like, "Hey, Tim, hey, man, I'm a big fan, And he pulls his kids up. He's like, "You're such a role model to my kids." And I was like, "Why would you ever tell your kids to be like a baseball player?" Like, I would never tell my kids that. Why? Hey, I want you to be like this. Why? I would never do that. There's a lot of baseball players I love. Those guys are awesome, but I wouldn't want my kids hanging out with them, wanting to be like them. I think it's more of a, how can you have the freedom to be yourself and live your life? Like, to me, that's it. You got to find that. You got to be okay with who you are. You got to be okay to enjoy the bad moments somehow. Like, that's a great place to be. And to me, that all stems from, where your expectations are.
I think that's beautiful advice for not only baseball, but life in general as well. Tim, I know we kept you a lot longer than we planned, and I appreciate you for sure taking time out of your day. I feel like we can talk another hour or two here. But is there anything else you would like to, at the end, maybe take a chance? Because this is going to play on our radio show, but as well be available online. So maybe some people that you don't get a chance to see very often here at home. And I'm trying to stretch to give you a little bit of time to think, but just some final thoughts here for some folks. And then Rick and Lee, I'll give you the same opportunity for final thoughts for Tim as well.
No, this is great. I mean, reminiscing. I mean, if you don't have those conversations, then you don't ever. It's hard to think about them. If those moments don't arise. My dad, I was playing baseball in Venezuela in 2014, and came back for Christmas, and I was sitting with my dad, and we were talking about something, and was like, my dad played in Venezuela, and so he tells me this story, and I'm like, "Dad, I've known you all my life, and like, you've never shared that story before." I was like, why now? He go, "Oh, I just thought of it." So if you're not having the conversations like this, you forget those moments. And also, I really appreciate this, because it was either you're keeping me from doing drywall in my house, which, for future reference, I gotta pay someone else to do it. I am not a drywallsman, but no, this is great. If someone's watching this or listening to this, I don't know. I'm just a baseball player sometimes, and whatever you're doing doesn't define you. It's not the quintessential thing. Oh, well, I did this. Have fun in whatever you're doing. There's always an opportunity to stay in the moment. If the past has happened, don't worry about it. It distracts you from the moment. Oh, what do you think's going to happen? You have no idea what's going to happen. Just stay in the moment. The moment's easy. That's why I love going places, and people are like, "Well, it's raining," or it's like, "Well, is this the first time it's ever rained? Could it rain? I mean, is it out of the realm of possibility that it could rain or be windy, or, the umpire's bad? You're kidding me. Like, that's never happened before." Like, it's not being pessimistic. In fact, you're actually getting out in front of that and going, well, all this stuff could happen. So what's going to be my attitude in all this stuff? So anyway, I like to think I'm a pretty optimistic person, and that's kind of how I roll. I'm just like, could this stuff happen? Yeah. Could I play in the big leagues? Yes. So I would say I try to operate in coulds and shoulds. It's like, should this happen to you? Or could it? When it should is almost negative. You see those guys in the clubhouse, they're like, man, I should be in the big leagues. Well, that's negative. It's like, could you play in the big leagues? Yeah. So whatever you're trying to do, try to stay in the shoulds and coulds. Like, hey, could should we win the World Series? I mean, maybe, but could we? Yeah, we totally could. We totally could. And to me, there is a difference when you start defining, like, is this a negative attitude or is this a positive attitude, and how that, goes and ripples effects on other people. Not sure where I was going with that.
No, that was great.
You put me on the spot, Adam. God.
I'm sorry. Lee, any final thoughts on your end?
No, I just appreciate you taking the time out and talking baseball with us. As you said, in this time, it's much needed to have baseball as a distraction more than ever. So, always a pleasure.
Rick?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's just great to be back around you and talk some good, fun memories. And just want to say good luck to you. Keep chasing it, man. Keep playing as long as you can.
Believe it. Have to rip that jersey off me, or they could just not give me one, and then I don't know what to do.
Appreciate everyone tuning in. Tim, thank you for your time. Hey, before I let you go, pop your social media where people can follow you and your website as well. Hey, and by the way, the socks, totally comfortable, my man.
Yeah, that's right. Only available at dimtillard.com. No, everything on social media and even the website is Dim Tillard. There was a lot of Tim Dillards when I got on Twitter. There were like 25 of them. Found out I wasn't really special, not as special as I thought. So I just changed the letters, so it's Dim Tillard. So that's basically everything. Awesome.
Well, we'll be back next week with another edition of not the ICC Hour, that's the radio show, but with the Live with the Tribe here on the ICC Sports Network.